Texas Tech football coach Joey McGuire joins us. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak on 365 Sports. Spring has wrapped up. Joey, thanks for your time. The transfer portal is still in effect until basically the end of the week. How much has that affected how you go about doing what you do with your roster? And thanks for your time, by the way.
Man, it's great to talk to you guys. I'm always happy to be on with you. Yeah, it's different. I mean, you're constantly looking at guys, even if you're, not going to add anybody or maybe you have a spot and you're deep at that spot. But I think you're constantly looking at how to get your roster better. And then you're also, I got a couple of guys that I think we're in great shape. We did our exit meetings on Monday and Tuesday, and everybody's in good shape. But you always hold your breath too, because you never know in this day and age who's going to try to talk to who, and we all know it happens. And so, kind of hold my breath right now until that window closes. But I really feel good about our team, and then we have a couple of spots that we possibly could add some guys.
Coach, how different is this post-spring compared to last year as far as what you know, as opposed to maybe in year one what you think you know?
A lot different. I mean, it's funny. Both the quarterbacks were like, Coach, this is the first time in college football that we've been in the same system for multiple years. And so you could tell a big difference there. We were able to do some different things to where our last, probably 2 or 3 practices, we treated it like bowl practices, to where we practiced everybody at the start of practice, and then we sent the old guys in and really focused on getting as many reps as possible with the young guys, because we really are an older team on both sides of the ball. We have 10 starters back on offense and 8 starters that started in the bowl game. And so we're able to get our young guys a lot of reps. So a lot different than last year.
Coach, what would you say is sort of the theme entering, or exiting, I guess, spring ball, kind of entering these summer months? What's just kind of the theme around Texas Tech football right now, the mindset?
Being the best version of ourselves, being real honest with our guys of where we have to improve. I've told this from, really whenever they started buying in. We have a really healthy locker room. We have a team that really cares about each other. They come to school and to work every day, and they have a great attitude. We have a lot of great things going on. And so it's really like, hey, here's what we have to work on, and this is how you have to work on it. And I also said, you're going to get a little time off whenever finals are over. Let's make sure when you leave here that you come back, in the shape that we don't need, big guys 10, 15, 20 pounds heavier. And then we also don't need guys, that go home and lose a bunch of weight either. And so, just making the main thing and concentrating on what we need to do to get better.
You told me one time that even with all of what you're trying to manage and juggle and still learn as a head coach, even though you had the incredible run at Cedar Hill, but college football is so much different in a lot of ways, that you're always watching what others are doing. How much time do you have in a day?
I try to use every bit of it. It's funny. Sean Bell is one of my favorite people in the entire world, and a very good friend of mine. My Reagan's getting married on May 6th, and he and Haley will be there. And, I just sent him a text. I watched West Virginia, BYU, TCU, Baylor, and we're not playing OU, but I put them on. And, that's what I've been doing today between exit meetings, is kind of watching everybody's spring games and, just shooting him a text, telling him to have fun on the road recruiting, and, that I thought they looked really good. So I'm always looking for things of how we can get better, what is good for our program, and how I can grow as a head coach.
Coach, what are your thoughts on the new rules? There's less time on the road recruiting. The clock rules are going to be different. You guys run at breakneck speed anyway, so you've kind of been preparing for this change for a while as it stands. But just from your perspective, what changes in kind of daily life as a coach now that you're not recruiting on the road as much, and now you have to prepare games a little differently because the clock's going to move faster?
Well, there was a couple of crazy rules out there, and I'm glad that they didn't pass as far as when we're talking about the game. At least in the NFL, we have seen that game being played where, the clock doesn't stop on first down. And, I understand it because we're talking about in 2024 expanding the playoffs. So their mindset is really not shortening the game, but shortening the amount of snaps and impacts these players are going to take throughout the season. So, totally get that. Whenever I looked at you could take as many official visits as you want. We're not going to change what we do. You're still only getting the same amount of visits whenever it comes to the college. The national average is 3 visits a player. So I didn't understand that rule, but I am very frustrated with the shortening of the rule of the recruiting. I think, from 128 to 140. I hate losing those days. Really frustrating because I think it diminishes high school recruiting even more. And I called different people on that, football oversight committee and, just said what I thought. And, we've got the Big 12 meetings coming up next week. And, I'm going to ask about that stuff because, there's the stuff that they're justifying why doesn't make any sense to me. The two big reasons are quality of life, and there's so many other rules that you could change that doesn't take away from recruiting. And then there's, they talked about being on campus more. Well, our guys are in a discretionary weekend and you're going into finals and then going home. So I don't understand how we're around our players anymore during that time of year, and that's when you're taking away our recruiting days. So, new rules, you just got to adapt and find ways to be the best at it and hope that, you can kind of change those back if possible. But that was the one out of everything that, I was against.
Coach, and on the recruiting visits, is it, I guess, discretion? The school still has to have the same amount of visits, but the players can have unlimited? Am I reading that correctly? Or could you, if you wanted to, have 150 official visits hosted at Texas Tech? Can you clear that up?
No, I still get the same amount,
Okay,
and it's crazy. I've got, out of the guys that we're recruiting now, I think there's one guy that has 5 visits set up. I think last year, my first, I had one guy that took all 5. I mean, guys, I was a coach for 23 years, and I coached some pretty good dudes. I mean, some highly ranked, recruited by everybody in the country, and I didn't have any kid take 5 visits. And if there would have been a 6th, I wouldn't have had anybody take 5 visits. I mean, you get to a point to where, you know where you're going, and you get to a point also that, that you get tired of it. You get, once you kind of realize, I mean, you get tired of the recruiting process. I mean, all the guys that I've been, associated with. And so, I mean, I get it. I'm sure that was really pushed by more of the student side, and, that's fine. I don't think it affects things as much as what everybody, thinks it will. There's other rules out there that were passed that definitely affect recruiting a lot more than those.
So I was looking at your schedule. You guys open up on the road, interesting trip to Wyoming, and then you'll have Oregon back, a game that's already been pretty heavily talked about, and that's going to be, I would imagine, a pretty crazy atmosphere. But this is the changeover in the Big 12, so for the first time in a while, teams aren't playing everybody. You don't play either one of the Oklahoma schools or Iowa State. When you first got the schedule, what was your kind of, routine in looking it over, and just any thoughts on a little bit of a disruption and what has been the norm these last several years?
Well, I'm excited about the new, the 4 new schools coming in. I mean, I was there in 21 whenever we played BYU at home, whenever I was at Baylor, and man, that's going to be a great game. I'm excited to go out there. So the new guys coming in, I think it makes the conference even more competitive, but it's also, it's kind of like whenever the Southwest Conference kind of changed, I hate that we're not playing Oklahoma State, and I hate that we're not playing Oklahoma. Those are schools that you're used to playing, but at the end of the day, everything kind of changes, and this year will be kind of a weird year for everybody, and then it'll start getting a little bit normal. But who knows? We might expand too. I'm sure the ADs have a lot better idea of what that looks like. But I do think college football is changing, and I think we'll have a new Big 12 because I do think it's a great conference. It's a very competitive conference in every sport, and you're talking about a lot of different time zones that the Big 12 can be shown in and showcased in, and so excited about that.
Coach, one of those changes coming is the 12-team playoff, where now, you can adapt to maybe some early season losses or even, ones that come late if you've rolled along the right way. How much does that change how you can approach just building a program altogether and telling kids about their opportunity to come to Texas Tech?
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for the opportunity, and I was excited that TTU got in the Final Four. From the standpoint of showcasing the Big 12, and 2019 and 2021, we were right there at Baylor, knocking on the door to be in that Final Four, and so I think it's going to help. To where you're going to have a Big 12 team for sure in the playoffs, and possibly two, depending on how your year goes. And I think that's really, really good. I think it's really important because I think we do play really good football, and it's just going to help grow the brand, of the Big 12 and really showcase a really good conference.
How are those exit interviews for you? You have so much energy, positivity, but there's also truth serum about what players need to do and how much they need to work on. And then again, you give them an idea of what's next. That's what, 85, 105? How many of those do you do, and how do those go?
Yeah, there's some really, you try to, you don't even try. You're just as truthful the way you see it. And there's a lot of great things that come in there where guys have grown, over this semester and where they're heading. There's a lot of that. And then there's also a lot of, where do you see yourself? And is that unrealistic, or is that, are you working towards that? And so there's some really tough conversations, but you have to have them, because at the end of the day, I had a parent years and years ago tell me, at least I get to process what the truth is, and I get to decide if I'm okay with that or not, whether it's staying at the time at Cedar Hill or not. And, so they're tough. There's some that are really tough conversations. But if you're having them throughout the year and you're having, coming back from the bowl game and, hey, this is where you have to get better, and just continuing, then nothing's a shock. That's the one thing that I really believe. Nobody came into my office and was in a shock, good or bad, critical, positive. There wasn't a shock because we try to continue to, again, try to get 1% better. I've heard it from Matt and Dave. That's what they talked about, being the best version of yourselves. I know y'all, you hear that a lot. And so to do that, you got to be talking about it all the time and what you have to work on. And so I don't think anybody was shocked, but they're uncomfortable sometimes, they're as far as, exactly where these guys are.
Do you think it changes how you speak to them at all? You still have to be you and they have to be who they are because of the transfer portal being so volatile?
Now, whenever it comes to coaching, I think, number one, if you are really in it for them, and we are, and we're talking about the total person. There's a lot of great things. We had our highest GPA ever in Texas Tech football the fall semester during football. And so whenever you're like constantly trying to make them who they're trying to become as a man, then, I think those conversations they understand. And then, we've had some guys that I thought might get in that didn't, and they understand where the direction we're going. And then we've had some guys get in and I totally understand it. You just gotta know this is the day and age. This is the nature of the beast. And I'm still going to care and love about our kids. And so I think that at the end of the day is going to help us whenever it comes down to, who's talking to them and stuff like that, because it's usually not the player. It's usually the outside voices. Mm-hmm. It's usually, whether it's an agent, whether it's a coach at a different place, or even their parents or their high school coach. It's usually the outside voices. The players, unless they're, almost living on a different planet, they understand the reality and what they have to do to work to get better.
Coach, it is a different world because of NIL stuff like that, but I know that there are parts of when you're talking to a recruit that largely remain the same, your results and your success and your vision and things like that. And also, putting guys into the pros. And I can't even imagine, I don't even know if you could quantify how much having a guy like Patrick Mahomes means to your football program to be able to point towards too. But tomorrow night, you're going to have another very high-profile guy entering the league in Tyree Wilson at some point pretty early on. In this day and age, how much does being able to point to a Patrick Mahomes, that's one-on-one right there. But to have a Tyree Wilson go in and to have that NFL-proven kind of star power, how much does that matter for a college football program?
No, I think it's huge. It's going to be incredible. I'm flying out there tomorrow and get to be a part of it. And you can't thank Tyree enough for inviting me and really excited. And I think it's really big because those guys, I don't know if there's a guy out there that flies the college flag and 100% Texas Tech college flag more than Patrick Mahomes. He's really proud of where he comes from. And, Tyree's that guy too. He's really, really proud of where he comes from. And he's been a huge help whenever it comes to, he was a great host when we recruited guys. One of our starting outside linebackers, Miles Cole, he transferred in. Tyree was his host, and I thought he did a good job painting a picture of who he could be. And now we're seeing the success Tyree had. I go back, I always talk to you guys about two guys because you are so familiar with them, with Matt and Dave. But the thing about Coach Roll, I'll never forget, is he would always, it's been just beat in my head, that player is supposed to play the best football under you. And that was what was so great with Tyree. He had his best year. He played his best football. And, he gives a lot of credit to our strength staff and, our nutrition staff, and especially DeRuiter and CJIU, his position coach. And can't thank him enough, for what he's done and what he's going to do for Texas Tech.
Joe, if you don't mind, we always appreciate your time to have one of the Division I coaches on with us. We're lucky to get a handful, including you. The stadium renovations, I've seen pictures and growth and the arms race of college athletics, what you're doing. I know I've seen cranes on the Baylor campus and Oklahoma State. They did not have a spring game so they could get right to the work at T. Boone's Pickens and all these places that are going up. Your thoughts as you marvel at what you see out your window or whenever you're walking around campus?
Man, I'm so excited because, one, the South End Zone needed it. We needed it really bad for a lot of reasons, but now we're going to turn around and have one of the best facilities in the country. And then the Womble football facility is going to be, every inch of it's going to be how to make these guys better in every part of their lives. So, man, I'm so excited, and I follow everything. Usually, I get on there with you guys and see the videos of different things, Grayson being at practice and seeing the facilities going up in Waco. And I was there whenever, it really got proposed. And so I think it's going to be awesome because I think it's great for the student athlete. It's great for the fans. Man, our stadium, it's just the game day atmosphere is already crazy, but you're fixed to have a new sound system, 3 new scoreboards, the South End Zones. probably 3 stories taller than what it was. So it's going to be so much louder. And then it's going to be beautiful. So whenever you see it on TV, a lot of people are going to be going, what the heck's going on in Lubbock, Texas? And so I'm really excited about it.
Joey, thank you very much. I hope they'll be able to – we'll see you at Big 12 Media Days, and if you don't come over to us, we're going to come over to you. We'll see you then, right?
No, you don't have to worry about that. You know, I'm going to have to give y'all every one of you going to get big hugs, man. You know how much I appreciate y'all, and I'm huge fans, man. I still follow everything you guys do, and you know, rooting for you guys because y'all are the best, man. You treated me so great. Shoot, man. Love you guys to death, man. I can't thank you enough for having me on.
We appreciate it. We didn't even get to really a lot of football. Your defense played well in the game, right? The spring game, they kind of, with all the players you have back on offense, the defense played well?
Yeah, they did. Now, the one thing that DeRuiter and everybody would say, Zach didn't tempo anybody, and you know, that's kind of one thing that we really do. You know, and if you go back to what Coach Browse did with his tempo, you know, it helps defenses out a lot whenever you're not doing that. So, but I was really proud of the defense because, you know, we held a good number of defensive guys out just because they played so many reps, and so we wanted to get a bunch of our young guys reps, and so it was really good to see those guys respond.
Good luck with the wedding. Thank you very much. Garrett's having a great time in Lincoln, and you're having a great time in Lubbock. We appreciate your time, Joey.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Joey McGuire, Texas Tech football coach, with us on 365 Sports. Jalen McClendon